Hello and welcome to this Declutter Marathon. Um, Decluttering our life and our spaces is something that we should be doing regularly, but quite often we get too involved with doing life that we forget to do this. And then we gather a whole lot of junk and baggage that we no longer need or that is no longer serving us. We carry them through life and take a lot of space, but also weigh us down. And now I am saying, stop. Let's declutter. Let's declutter your spaces. And in this quick intro video, I am going to um, this intro video is made up of three parts. Part one, I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and how I come about being your facilitator for the Declutter Masterclass. And in the second part, I will give you a little bit about, I'll give you some reasons why it is important for you to declutter now. And in the third part, I will tell you what happens when you declutter. Okay, if you're ready, I will say, let's get started. So, first, who am I to facilitate this masterclass for you? Well, I have always been on the go. I'm that girl who, from the age of 8, has always been on the go, being, always carrying a suitcase or, well, in the beginning, carrying my tiny bag to some places. So at the age of 8, I left my parents in the village and I moved to town. And while in town in Douala, in Cameroon, where I was born, I had to move along. I had to move around quite a lot. I spent some years in boarding schools. And when you've been to boarding school, it's always packing suitcases to go back home, and packing suitcases from home to go back to school. And while in boarding school, you just have a tiny space to yourself. And so you always have to manage. You always have to make sure that you have few things as possible, just the things that that are very relevant to you. And I also moved to different places within boarding school. I lived in Douala, I lived in Yaoundé, I lived in Boya, if you know Cameroon. So I was always moving around. And in 2000 and, in 1995, I left Cameroon for Austria. And when you're going on a long journey, you leave behind a whole lot of things. And so you just go with the essentials. You go with essentials. And so leaving Cameroon to live in Austria for 20 years was a time when I had to let go of a whole lot of things so that I could just take the essentials with me. And while in Austria, where I spent 20 years, I had to move around like 20 times, 18 times. I was always moving home. And when you're constantly moving home, again, you have to choose the things that you want to take along with you and the things that you want to let go. Either because some homes are smaller than others, or because you're just in a new environment and you have new priorities, or some other things, there are just so many reasons why you kind of let go of have to, or you're compared to let go of some things that are no longer very essential to you. So I come from that background. And so after 20 years in Austria, I moved to South Africa. And you can imagine 20 years when you've been moving around from one district to the other, from one place to the other. And within that time, you also have children. The family grows. And so your needs increase. When you are a single parent and you have to see your kids to school, there are a whole lot of, things that you juggle with, and a whole lot of things that you collect and also let go. So I talk more about that in the lessons. So uh, from uh, from Austria back to South Africa with two suitcases meant that I had to declutter a whole lot. And some of these things you're so emotionally attached to them that it becomes really quite challenging to let them go. And so I had to come up with a plan, what I call my decluttering ritual. It's something that I'm going to share with you along the way. Those things that you're so emotionally attached to them that it becomes very difficult to let go. I will give you some rituals that you can do to easily let them go. I had to create those rituals for myself. And so in South Africa, 7 years spent in South Africa, and I moved house 5 times. I mean, I moved from one place to the other. And again, when you move from one space to another, your need change, and also the space changes. And sometimes just because you're starting all over, you don't want to clutter your space with old things when you're living that that you should be leaving behind you. So I did all of that, and along the way, I always had to create new tools and new rituals and find new ways on how to really let those things go without having the feeling that I am dumping them, because they've been part of your life, right? They've been part of my life all along. So you want to respectfully let them go. And so I tell you about that as we move on in the masterclass. So recently from South Africa, I had to move over to Sao Tome to get some work done. And that meant also, there's noise on the street. You bear with me, please. So that meant also that I had to declutter. So I call myself today the queen of simplicity, because I live by the absolute minimum. I just keep what I need. And there's something magical about just having what you need with you, because I'll tell you that as we get into the class. So that was part one, telling you about who am I to facilitate this masterclass for you. And down to the 8 reasons why you should declutter. I mean, there are just so many of them. I'm just going to give you 8 of them. Number one is less is more. I mean, if you have less things that will carry that clutter your space, it means you have more space to think, you have more space to do just the things that are relevant to you. You don't spend a lot of time cleaning and tidying up the place, because you focus on your energy on the things that really matter. Okay. Number two is that priority changes. Your priorities change as you journey through life. As a student, you have different priorities than when you get on a job or when you have children. When you have children, you have more responsibility, you have other priorities, and so you tend to accumulate not just for you but also for the family, for the children. But when the children get out of home, your priorities change again. So, because as we journey through life, we're always moving from one stage of our lives to the other. This necessitates that we declutter and leave behind the things that belong to that other phase of our life, so we can move on into the next phase with open hands and with space enough to accommodate and to receive whatever the universe is bringing to us in that space. Number three is that we live through different phases of life, right? Different phases, whether you are now on the job, whether you are out of job, whether you're a student, you are a parent, you are in a relationship, out of a relationship, all those different phases of life, or when you relocate to a different place, all those different phases of life, they just come with different priorities. And so this necessitates that you let go the things that have been in the other phase. When you move into a new phase, you let go of the things that have been in the other phase, so that you create space for something new in that space, right? So the third one is, this is massive, not the third one. The fourth one is, the pandemic has changed our lives forever. I mean, the 2 years lockdown and all the things that we needed to learn, and things that we had to let go. I mean, the priorities change. Whether our jobs, I mean, some of us were retrenched during the pandemic. Some people had to start new businesses. Some people had to move into smaller homes and all of those kind of things. So when when the pandemic changes your whole life, whether you like it or not, it means it becomes imperative that you go with that change and declutter your space, to let go of the things and the spaces that are no longer serving you, right? So the third one is business and jobs. So again, just linked to the pandemic, some people lost jobs, or sometimes you get a promotion, you move from one job to the other, or you start up a new business. And so the things that you use in the previous business or job may no longer serve. So what is it that you do? You declutter them, you let them go, so that you create space in that new job or in that new business that you're starting. To let in new things, new clients, new ideas, new thoughts, new products, and new services, if need be. So you see me sweating. I'm in a space that is actually very, very warm. And if you're a woman, when you go past that certain space in your life, it just comes with that hormonal change. That's also priorities changing. And so when you get to that space, some of this sweat just come along the way, and I'm just being authentic and owning it, because there's just no way I can stop not sweating, and there's no way I can stop not having this class with you. So let's move on to the next thing that you do, the number 16 that that demands that you declutter your life. One of it is the kids grow up. When you have young children, you have a lot of stuff for the kids. Whether it's food cans, whether it's clothing, toys, and all of those things that our children need, that we provide for them. And when they grow up and leave home, sometimes we pack this stuff and we put them in boxes and we keep them all around. And this clutters our space. There's so much more better things that you can do with those toys, with those clothes that are no longer fit because the kids have grown up. So you have to learn how to declutter the space. And I'll tell you exactly in the class as we move on what is it that you can do with that stuff that will make a whole lot of scene and bring you delight and pleasure. Okay, the number 7 one is that when you it's moving with the flow. When you declutter, you move with the flow, meaning that you are always in the pulse of time, and you only keep the things that you need at that one particular moment. It has a lot of advantages. Quite a lot of people think that when you amass things and you have a lot of material things around you, you are rich. Yes, you may be, but the thing is, what is it that you're missing out on just because those things are cluttering your space, things that you no longer really need? Okay, let me jump quick to number 8, and this is so important. When you declutter, you gain clarity, you have serenity, and you have a sense of purpose. Clarity because you can see whatever you have around you. You don't need a lot of time to sort through them. You are clear about what where is and what it is there for. And the serenity is that you have a peace of mind. You can easily navigate through your stuff. You don't get too you don't get confused when you have to sort out something. You know that A is here, B is there, and C is there, and you shoot there and you get them. So this gives you a kind of clear head, if I can say it that way. That's what I call serenity, a peace of mind. And you don't worry about things that you really should not be worrying about. And then a focus or a sense of purpose is that when you are not cluttered in your mind and in the spaces that you live in by too many things that you no longer need, you just have some clarity about the decisions that you make, about the things that you do, about the actions that you take, and the way you connect with people, and also the way you connect with yourself and how you run your life, how you manage your day-to-day life. So this is part 1. This was just a quick intro into the course. I hope that you're loving it so far, and I look forward to seeing you in lesson 1